Welcome to the Send More Offers Real Estate Show with Brandon Barnes, showing you how to do wholesaling deals consistently without having to go on seller appointments. Learn the key tips and strategies that Brandon's students use to find deeply discounted properties that are pennies on the dollar, all while avoiding wear and tear on their vehicle, body, and freedom. Whether you're looking for your first deal or your next deal, it's time to send more offers with your host, Brandon Barnes.
Hey, so Tony Javier, man, it's good to have you here. Super excited for the conversation. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm great. You're all the way on the West Coast, right? So I'm sure the sun's still bright. It's a little later here in Atlanta. When did you move out to San Diego, and did you start to do deals out there first? Like how did that come about?
Yeah, so quick backstory. First, I've been investing for 20 years now. So the first 10 years of my business were way different than the second 10 years. So the first 10 years was a lot of struggles. It was hiring the wrong people, hanging around the wrong people, just, not knowing what I know now, which is, surround yourself with high level people, hire the right people, invest in people, spend the money, all that good stuff. Right. And so as I figured that out after about 10 years, I had to fire my whole staff for like the second or third time. It was one of those things where, I thought I was going upwards by hiring people and kind of building a team. And all of a sudden, they were stealing from me. They were doing different things. And within about a 30-day period, my whole staff was gone because I realized that they were the wrong team. So I made a lot of key decisions like hiring a coach and ended up finding masterminds and stuff like that. And within about 3 or 4 years, I went from that whole thing and that whole 10 years of like banging my head against the wall to finally having a business that ran without me. One of the coaches that I hired actually had a business that didn't run with him. He didn't look at properties. He didn't meet with sellers. He didn't meet with buyers. He didn't manage his rental properties. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm doing all this stuff. And so that gave me the vision of, okay, I can have a business that runs without me. And within about 3 to 4 years, I was able to hire a better team, hire coaches, hire support, get the things in place that I needed in order to step out of my business and move from Wichita, Kansas to San Diego, California.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I appreciate you taking me down that path because that really tells the listeners a lot about the vast amount of experience, 22 years. So you've seen the ups and downs, you've seen some market turns. So I'm looking forward to hearing maybe your take on how things are doing right now and how things are going in this market. But before I do, people know you as the TV ads guy. And I know that's kind of my own kind of summarization, right? But you've been making TV ads available for real estate investors specifically for how long now?
So I started TV myself 10 years ago, and that's one of the things that helped me to kind of grow the business where I could step out of it. And then it's been about 2 years, a little less than 2 years is how long I've been helping other real estate investors with their TV commercials. And the way it came about is a couple of years ago, someone's like, man, you're crushing it in your market with TV. I don't know many people that are doing TV commercials around the country. He's like, why don't you show people what you're doing? And so he bugged me a few times, because we were part of the same mastermind. And finally I was like, you know what? Or actually he was like, dude, just give it a test run. Like go reach out to some people and see if you can help them. So I went to my media guy that helped me 10 years previous. And I said, hey, if I show everybody my stats, what I'm doing, what shows I'm on, the scripts I have, all the numbers behind it, what we've tweaked over the last 10 years or actually at that point, it was 8 years. Would you do the ad spend for them, negotiate with the stations and do all the back end? Because he's been doing that 20 plus years all over the country. And he's like, absolutely. So reached out to about 10 investors that I knew that I thought would be good for TV. About 8 of them said, yes, let's give it a test run. And out of the gate, most of them crushed it, just like I did, 10 years ago when I started. So that's kind of how this all came about, of me taking what I've known for the last, 10 years now. And now we're plugging into other markets for real estate investors, and it's working really well for them. And it's worked so well for them that I've decided to plug TV commercials into other markets for me and my team. And we're doing deals around the country as well.
Love it. Love it. That's amazing. Now you're at a place where you're, still have your real estate investing business, and you're also doing, helping facilitate TV ads for other real estate investors. If you had to choose one business to continue, or, they say keep one and kill one, which business do you actually prefer at this point in your career?
Well, I hate to say this because, I have some clients that may be watching or future clients, but it's better to sell the shovel than it is to actually shovel. You know
I
what I'm
figured
saying?
that was the answer. I had to put
I
you on the
mean,
hot seat. Um,
yeah, yeah. But I put my money where my mouth is. Not only am I running TV commercials in my own market, but now I'm like, gosh, I can go and find other investors in other markets that maybe aren't can't have maybe afford TV or whatever the situation is, and say, you know what, we'll invest in TV with you, help you do the deals, and even fund deals for you. And all of a sudden, not only now do we have one flipping business, now we have multiple flipping businesses throughout the country, actually wholesaling flipping, and we don't have to work that much harder to do those other markets, right?
love it.
And so that's the combination of helping clients amplify their business. I mean, I even had a client yesterday emailed me, and he's like, "Hey, man, I want your opinion. Like, the other marketing isn't working nearly as well. What if I just took TV and just took all that money and put it towards TV?" And I'm not going to recommend him to do that, but he's like shared his numbers with us, and it's just unbelievable, like the numbers that our clients are doing. And it's all about, what kind of secret sauce we've had for the last, I guess 8 years before we launched it. It's like, man, I wish we would have gotten this out to other people sooner. But we have some newer investors that are in our program that are crushing, and then the experienced investors are doing really well because they're really dialed in. But it's just a great way for a newer real estate. A lot of our clients are experienced real estate investors, but if someone is doing deals and has the capital to put into TV, which TV is not as expensive as you would think, it's just really cool being able to get those results for our clients.
Oh, 1000%. Makes a lot of sense. Well, you briefly, you shared kind of how things played out. You'd been in real estate 22 years, and then, 10 years ago started running ads for yourself. Can you talk a little bit about what that experience was like, how that door opened, how you put it together? Just kind of take us back to, how that was set up initially for you.
No, that's a great question. I love telling the story. So I actually met a guy at a networking event. I was almost not going to go to this networking event because I was sick, and I ended up going to it. So I met this guy. He's a good friend now. He introduced me to another business owner, and that guy ended up inviting me to a poker game. So I go to this
Nice.
poker game. I didn't know this guy too well, but we go down in the basement. This is in Wichita, Kansas, and I see this guy, and I'm like, that guy, he's on TV. I see that guy on TV all the time. And so I had this whole celebrity factor, mindset. And so I ended up sitting next to him, and I'm like, dude, man, it's cool that you're on TV. Like, how are the TV commercials doing for you? Because I don't know if they're doing good or not.
Right.
And he's like, dude, we do $2 million of business a year, just TV. And that's all we do for marketing. That's our whole business. And he's like, I don't know if it would be good for you or not, because I was drilling him on, commercials. And he's like, I don't know if it'd be good or not. I don't have the information you're asking for. Why don't you call Drew, my media buyer? So my personality, of course, I call him the next day, and I'm like, hey, I hear you're the TV guy. So I'm the TV guy now. He used to be the TV guy. So I'm like, hey, tell me about TV commercials. He's like, hey, yeah, we can get you a lot of commercials for small ad spend. Let me do some digging. We had a couple meetings. I put the scripts together, and within, I think it was less than 30 days, I had a TV commercial, and I was on TV. And first month, I ended up spending a few $1,000 and made 35,000. So I've been positive from month one, and a lot of our clients are seeing the same thing, where month one, they're getting crazy results and doing at least one, if not, 3 or 4 or 5 deals in the first month and crushing it. So when I launched this program, I went to my media guy, Drew, and I said, hey, if I were to, do this all over the country, you're on board? And he's like, heck yeah. And he's just the best guy, and serves our clients well, has a great team. And that's kind of how this all came about, from going to a networking event, then meeting a guy at a poker game, and, amplifying it from there.
Yeah. Look, Tony, I always say it's always those meetups that I say, I don't really want to go, or I see it on my calendar, and my wife says, oh, remember you're supposed to go to this event. then I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it. And then I go, and it's the best connections I've made, or it was that one person that I was supposed to meet that day. So
Totally.
definitely share that experience, and shared that experience where going to that event, really helped you really grow and put you in a place at the right time with the right people. So that's amazing. From your perspective, um, you know, what is the kind of most critical component for someone? Because I know I've talked to and interviewed the guys over at REI Radio, and I know they mentioned, look, they're still trying to get the best airtime spots where, they're able to hit their niche and their target audience, but they're not overspending. And you're really trying to almost get the wholesale deal of airtime to be effective with your budget and your marketing for radio ads. Is it similar to TV, or is it a completely different ballgame?
You know what's funny is Chris Arnold's a good friend of mine. He's the one that talked me into doing the TV program. So
Oh,
he's like, hey, my client, our students are crushing it with radio. Why don't you put something together for TV? So I put it together.
shout out to Chris Arnold.
Yeah, for sure.
Good guy.
And so, yeah, so if you called the stations directly and you said, hey, I want to get on TV, they're going to try and they don't know your business. They think they know it. They think you probably work with buyers. That's what most, when most people work with real estate, oh, I'll find you buyers. It's like, no, I don't need buyers. I need sellers. Right. But any which way, they're going to try and sell you the most expensive package they have. And it's probably not going to be your clientele. So when I went to my media buyer, he was good at dialing in. Like that's why I love him, is that he's so open and honest and spends your money like it's his. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, you don't need to be on these shows and stations, which is what most people want you to do. Here's what we're going to do. And we get, instead of getting like 50 commercials to maybe 100 commercials a month, which is what you're going to get if you call the stations directly for a pretty high ad spend, we get hundreds and hundreds of commercials for the same, or actually for much less than what the stations are going to quote you for, for what they have. And so to give you an idea, I'll give you an example. Most markets, you can spend around $5,000 a month and get anywhere from 200 to 600 commercials a month. That's what we're getting for our clients. The average is usually between about 400 and 600. It all depends on the size of the market. And so, if you do the math on it, if you're getting 300 commercials a month, that means your TV, your commercial is on 10 times a day. I mean, that is a lot of opportunity for eyeballs to be on your commercial, for them to see your ads. And if they don't call you now, at least that branding and that message is getting through their head. And we get so many referrals from people that are like, hey, Joe, my neighbor told me to call you. And we're like, we don't know Joe. And it took us a long time to figure out, oh, people are seeing the TV commercial and they're telling their friends and family and all that about us. And so, it's just, we try and get as many commercials as possible for a low ad spend. And that's one of the secret sauces, is us being able to get so many commercials for our clients and people to see, so many people to see them at any given time.
Yeah. And is that just your proprietary method of negotiating with the providers, or is there something there to that, without kind of giving everything away, of course?
Yeah, totally. No, we have 5 stations we know that have the shows we know work. Because again, we've done all the testing for our clients. It's not like we're going out there and throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks, right? And so when we call the stations, we know what works. So we're like, hey, here's our formula. Give us the rates that you have for these shows. They send them back to us, and then my team negotiates the best rates. So we know if something's too expensive. We know if the stations aren't, being upfront and truthful about what, number one, works, and 2, what the pricing should be. So our team kind of beats them up on pricing a little bit, and that's kind of how we work. Is it's kind of like if you're buying a house, right? If you're buying a house, would you rather have a buyer's agent working on your side trying to negotiate the house and advise you on pricing, advise you on if the area is good, advise you on what repairs need to be asked for if there's an inspection? You go and do it yourself, you're probably going to spend a lot of extra time, and you're probably going to lose a lot of money that a buyer's agent would have, would have done for you, and it doesn't cost you anymore. So,
Makes sense.
so we're basically people's buyer's agents.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of experience and know-how that comes with just being in this space for so long that it would be really difficult to replicate if they don't come through your service. What about the person that says, hey, I want to get on radio, or I'm sorry, I want to get on TV, but I have a face for radio. You know what I mean? Like, and Tony, if you guys are watching, he definitely has a face for TV. He looks like he will be great on your ad. However, if somebody says, hey, I don't want to be that face, I don't want to, be that person that's on the TV, how do you guys overcome that for clients?
Yeah, I do TV commercials for investors. It's a small percentage, it's interesting because the people that have said, oh, I won't be good on TV, or I don't look great on TV, some of those clients have come in and done pretty well with their shoot, and they just crush it on TV, right? To me, it's not necessarily looking good for TV as it is connecting with the audience, right? If someone feels like, wow, that's the business owner, I'm connected to them because it feels like they're honest, they're truthful, they're not acting like something they're not. To me, that's more important than the look. It's the feel that the person has when they're on the other side looking at you on TV. So yeah, I'm more than happy to do a commercial for someone. I want my face all over the country if I can.
I hear that.
But if someone's comfortable doing the commercial all day long, I would love them on it. And not only for that reason, but the credibility you get for your personal brand. Like when I go back to Wichita, Kansas, and I'm about. First of all, I can see people looking at me differently, and then people come up to me all the time like, oh, you're the TV guy, or they'll start singing my jingle that I have on my commercial. So just the personal recognition that I have. So when I go and I raise private money, or I have my CPA that sends me referrals all the time, like, hey, Joe, my client says he's looking for investments. He's got a couple $100,000. Why don't you talk to him? I get on the phone with them. I know it's a slam dunk if they say, oh, I've seen you on TV. And if they don't say it, I'm like, oh, yeah, you've probably seen our TV commercials. Oh, that's you? Oh, wow. It's a slam dunk, People just treat you differently when you're on TV. And it's, something I'm very passionate about because it's, done so much for me over the last 10 years.
Awesome. For sure. Well, look, I know that, the TV, that's just part of the marketing, right? That's just to get them in the door. But there's this entire back end that you have to be able to convert, sure. and get a deal where a homeowner is ready to sell their house. And then if you're going to wholesale that deal and not take it down, you still have a sales process to follow. So what does that look like, if at all, different from your typical marketing? So such as, cold calling or direct mail. Do you treat a TV ad any different, a TV ad lead when they call the number? I mean, actually, as an additional question, do you send that TV ad potential homeowner through online or to a phone call?
Yeah, so phone is usually how they get a hold of us. They're old school. Usually they pick up the phone and call.
Makes sense.
So leads through TV are definitely more forgiving, meaning that if they call you, usually they're only calling you at that time. They see your commercial, they're sitting on the couch, they're thinking about selling down the road, and then they're like, oh, well, I'll call that company and see if, they want to go ahead and make an offer on my house. And so if you answer the phone and you do a good job of building rapport, they're most likely not going to call anybody else unless your offer is just totally out of, the range of what they're looking to sell it for. So our clients have given us the same feedback that we get is usually we're the only one that goes on that appointment, Wow. They're not calling 10 other people. And so, but with that being said, we want to treat it like any other lead where you answer the phone, you build the rapport, all that kind of stuff. So that doesn't give them an excuse to not answer the phone or to get back to them the next day. We have a lot of training we do with our clients that it's like, here's how our successful clients have done this. Here's how we've done it. And this is kind of the process you need to follow to make sure that you're converting the leads. Because like you said, if someone says direct mail doesn't work, well, is it because of direct mail or is it because of the way they convert it? Did they answer the phone? And we actually record the calls that come through for our clients and help them track their stuff for them. And, we listen to some of our clients' calls and we're like, hey, we said, put a professional voicemail on your voicemail, or when you answer the phone, don't say hello, say, this is Tony with Professional Home Buyers. You're on the commercial. They want you to be professional and have an image for you. So totally, it's the sales process and the way that you convert leads is the difference between having a decent TV campaign or having one that just blows it out of the water and does a 10 to 20x on the ad spend.
Love it. Love it. And I mean, you kind of hinted at this, but I'm assuming everything is live answer. You're not doing any like callbacks or anything. Is that something that is an option for some of the folks that use TV ads, like specifically if somebody calls overnight? Do you guys have live answer?
Yeah, so we tell our clients, like, you can do what you want, but the system that we have, if you follow it, it's most likely going to work. Like 90% of the time, they follow the system, it works, and it works really well. So answering the phone is the best way to convert the leads. When you answer the phone, you get them while they're hot. You're showing that you're there, that you're credible, that you know what you're doing. Again, they're going to be less likely to call someone else, and most likely you're going to be the only one that they call. Not saying that you can't answer the phone. Like if you want it to go to voicemail, that's fine, but calling them back in a very timely manner is important because, again, someone sees a TV commercial, they call, they leave a message, 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by. Every single minute that goes by, they're less likely to do business with you, in my opinion. In fact, there's a study on that shows the amount of time that it takes for you to get back with them dramatically increases the likelihood for you to convert them and do business.
Right. Isn't it the old 7-minute rule, calling back in 7 minutes?
Yeah, 7 minutes is a pretty good rule. I mean, I think a few minutes is probably better. I mean, obviously your lead manager may be on the phone and may not be able to call them back for 15 minutes, but I would say an hour tops, like an hour for sure. Like, I think, some sellers are forgiving and as long as you get back with them within that time frame. But you know how it is these days. It's like, oh, they didn't answer. Well, let me go on Google and either try and search them. And even if they do search you, they're going to see your competition, or they'll just search in general and be like, I wonder if there's anybody else out there that, is kind of like this. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely want to try and answer the phone and be the first to that lead and get out there as quickly as possible.
Love it. Makes sense. And you've mentioned about kind of going on appointments. Have you ever considered a virtual acquisitions process for these leads? And I know you're in a few different states and a few different areas. So would you be able to replicate this same business, albeit virtual?
Well, here's the beautiful thing is now we're plugging TV commercials in other markets. So we are actually virtual in other markets. We just had a bunch of our clients just buy second markets. So they're like, okay, we're crushing our market. And then we did a presentation with our clients and we said, hey, we're doing TV in Wichita, Kansas. Now we're plugging it into other markets with JV partners to where they're helping us do the deals. And so now we have a lot of other clients that have jumped on board and said, hey, I know Joe in Akron, Ohio, or whatever it is that is doing pretty well. I'll go ahead and invest in the ad spend, partner with him, and we'll do deals together. And then, there's also just the straight up, hey, I'm going to buy another market. I'm going to, run ads there. I'm going to answer the calls virtually and do those deals. And we actually, I would say probably 50% of our clients that are on TV don't even go look at the properties. So it doesn't matter whether they're in the same city or not. They're tying up the properties based on what the seller tells them and then verifying it with pictures and then maybe sending an inspector or somebody out there just to verify the condition of the property. And they're wholesaling them anyway, so it doesn't matter if there's something they didn't see. If the rehabber comes in and sees something, then they're gonna try and negotiate it, and it's their problem at that point.
Awesome. So virtual still works. Just to get a feel, I mean, I know you mentioned 5K for, so many ads, 200 to 600, or give or take. Is that kind of a good starting point? What do you kind of suggest to folks that are starting down this path about how much spend would you want them to get started with? And then what that should equate to as far as potential leads, deals, and of course, revenue is relative to the market, but leads and deals based off of like a 5K ad spend.
Yeah, so every market's different, obviously, for different reasons. The way they react to the commercials, the ad spend compared to the population that you're reaching. Obviously, if you're spending a small amount in a big population area, then you may get less leads potentially. But usually, our clients right out of the gate are getting anywhere from on the low end 20 leads their first month. We've had clients get over 100 leads their first month.
Wow.
Usually the sweet spot is somewhere between 20 and 50 leads per month. And if you do the math on it, these leads are pretty high quality. So our clients are doing anywhere from 10 or need anywhere from 10 to 20 leads to get a deal.
Nice.
And so you can kind of do the math on that. The cost per lead is going to be a little bit higher with TV just because you're going to get less calls, but they're going to be higher quality. But we find that the ROI is as good, if not better, than most lead channels. And then you get the branding perspective of TV, the visual part of it, and, the longevity. Even if we stopped our commercials, probably for the next year to 2 years, I could probably go back to Wichita and there'd still be people that would recognize me just because they've seen the commercials over the last 10 years.
Love it. Love it. Well, look, before I ask you to break down one of your favorite deals from this channel, can you give us just a quick feel for kind of what type of team you've built around this process for your business? What does your acquisitions process look like? Do you have, the kind of third-party live answer, a few acquisition managers, a lead manager? How does that look specifically, and how are you guys processing these deals?
Yeah, great question. So my opinion on calls coming in is you should have a lead manager taking the calls. Lead manager is different than an acquisitions person. A lead manager is number one goal is to answer, pre-qualify, track, and follow up with the leads. And if you have enough leads, you can also hire a follow-up manager. There's some of our clients that actually have enough leads where they hire a follow-up manager. But the lead manager, the thing about them that's different than an acquisitions person is you want them to have a little bit of sales in them, but it's almost a little more detail where they're inputting the information accurately, they're doing the research properly, they're managing the CRM, they're managing all of that. Whereas if you had an acquisitions person answering the phone, if they're out on an appointment, number one, they may not be able to answer the phone for an hour to 2 hours because they're on an appointment. And two, if they're in the car out and about, what are the chances of them putting that lead into a CRM and tracking it properly, right? And so when the call comes in, we like it to ring to our lead manager. If the lead manager doesn't answer in a few rings, then it goes to our answering service. And we're still debating on whether to keep that answering service or not, because sometimes they do a good job and sometimes they don't. So we're actually kind of testing, sending some to voicemail and just seeing, if the conversions might be better. But definitely lead manager. And then the lead manager, after they pre-qualify the lead, then they set up my acquisitions person to go look at the property. We're taking down all of our deals that we do in our main market. So my acquisitions person always goes out and locks up the deal while they're at the house. But we do have a lot of clients that do virtual, or even if they're in their own market, over the phone, we'll lock it up and say, hey, I'll give you $20,000. I'm going to send you a contract right now. This is, of course, subject to us coming out and looking at it, blah, 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 blah. And then they'll send it to their buyers list and do the deal without even looking at it. So there's definitely different ways to do it, but any which way you do it, answer the phone or get back to the lead as quickly as possible, input your information into your CRM so you have accurate numbers, and that also allows you to better follow up with those leads if you're not able to get them under contract right away.
Love it. I mean, just because this business is slightly different than the most, typical wholesalers or real estate investors, I just have a quick question about the systems that you guys like to use, because I'm sure you're going to use a CRM, some type of follow-up sequencing, calling, texting, campaigns. What systems do you like for your business right now?
So we tried Podio back in the day, and it just broke on us too much. And then we ended up finding RE Simply. So that's a good one. If you go to RESIMPLI.com/REM, that's actually a discount code. So you could check that out if you'd like to. That's a good one. We actually just invested in another system that we're customizing right now. So I can't really release what we're doing right now. But we actually have a system that's already a CRM, and we're spending a bunch of money to customize it for real estate investors. So that way our clients can use it and they'll have free access to it.
Nice.
And then we may end up promoting it down the road in the future. But yeah, that's RE Simply is the main CRM we use. And believe it or not, we do a lot of stuff with Google Sheets, our project management, our budgeting, even the leads that come in, even though they go into our CRM, we still have them go into Google Sheets. So that way I can look on a weekly or monthly basis and just see from a high level view all of the leads that came in and where they came from and the data on it. So the thing with software is it can be very complex. Really, it's just whatever's the most simple thing for you that's going to work.
Love it. Love it. So no texting, power dialing or favorite skip tracing services.
Nah, we don't get into all that stuff. We do the stuff that's easier. We do TV. We just started radio. We do direct mail. We have another third party company that manages that. Really, I don't manage much of my marketing just because it's so automated. We do a little bit of pay-per-click, but I've got a guy that manages that.
Very cool.
So yeah, I don't really spend a lot of time on marketing other than, once a month or every couple of months, just kind of dialing into the numbers and, seeing if we need to make any changes.
Very cool. Well, look, what's one of the best deals that you've done and your vast amount of experience? And specifically, I would hope it would be a TV ad, deal that you got. Can you think of anyone that you can kind of break down for us in the situation?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 3 deals. I'll run them down with them real quick. 2 of them are very similar. They're TV deals, right? So I've done Wichita, Kansas. Our average price point is, $150. If we do a $200,000 deal, that's kind of a decent sized number. So our price points aren't super high. So I've got 2 deals from TV. They were pretty similar. Both of them were on acreage, which I love properties on acreage. Mm-hmm. Here in San Diego, you can't find that. But in the Midwest, it's much more prevalent. So the numbers were pretty similar. I think it ended up being like we bought them for about $150, put close to $100,000 into them, and sold them for the numbers were almost identical to both. Sold them for $400,000. And the net profit was, I think one of them was right around $100,000 and the other was $120,000. And so in Wichita, Kansas, if you're making 6 figures on a flip, like I guarantee you there's not many investors that have made 6 figures on a flip in Wichita, Kansas. Right?
Love it.
Yeah. And so I have another deal right now that we're doing that, like when you came on, I was literally on the phone with one of my JV partners. We have a deal locked up for $1.1 million. It needs about $100,000 in renovations, $150 at the very most. It's actually in pretty good shape. It's a 9,000 square foot mansion in Texas, and it's in a small town. So the comps show that it could sell for $200,000, which would be a $500,000 profit. But the market obviously is changing right now. The interest rates are going up. And so we're like, okay, if we sold this for 135, I think was the number that would be like a break-even point, we'd still be okay. But it's like we're not sure whether we're going to go through with that and take a chance on it, maybe having to hold it for 9 to 12 months, or if we're gonna let that one go. So that's one of those that's like, man, that could just be a killer deal that crushes the ROI out of the water, because we're only spending like $5 or $6 grand a month in that market. So if we did that deal and we made several $100,000, it'd be pretty awesome. But those are a few deals from TV, and we do get some pretty juicy deals from TV.
Well, I was also wondering if you've heard any crazy stories or interesting stories from a lead that came through TV. Anybody? I was up late 3 a.m. and just wanted to sell my house. Anything like that?
So, texting and cold calling, you get a lot of haters, right? And so TV's typically not that way. But we do have some funny messages that have been shared where someone's like drunk midnight and they're just calling like, "Get off my TV, you a-hole," cussing the person out. We also have some clients that get hit on where they're like, "Hey, is Justin there? Like, he's pretty cute. I just want to talk to him, So
that is hilarious.
There's some funny stories that are shared throughout our community, but most of the stuff is pretty positive.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, yeah, I was curious because I'm sure you guys get some characters, because we sure do, everybody else through text and mail, etc. But look, I can't let you go without putting you through the lightning round. Are you ready for that?
Let's do it.
All right. Awesome. So, lightning round, I have some rapid fire questions for you. You don't know the question, I don't know the answer, so just say the first thing that comes to your mind. What is one book that's been influential to your success in real estate investing?
Oh gosh. Well, I'll tell you, it's the course that I bought 20 years ago. No Down Payment by Carlton Sheets may not be available anymore, so I'll throw that one to the side for right now. A similar person is Robert Allen. No Money Down. I think he has No Money Down for the 90s. He has different spinoffs for his No Money Down books. So I actually got to meet him last year. Yeah, no, earlier this year. So that was kind of cool.
Love it. Look, if you could have drinks, go out to drinks, or coffee with any one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I just had someone flash in front of my head that was almost an obvious. Let me see if there's anybody else I can think of. Yeah, I would say Tony Robbins. I actually went to Tony Robbins seminar in 2012, and that's where I met my wife. So, he, from that perspective, he gave me, my wife and my 3-year-old boy right now.
Beautiful.
And so, yeah, I'd say Tony Robbins. He's a massive figure. He's influential. He's been great for me over the last 15 years or so since I've been following him, and I think it'd be super cool. I'm probably going to join his mastermind next year, so
yeah,
I'll probably end up meeting him anyway.
Some of the best money you've ever spent.
Probably,
I love them. I've been out to events, one or two at this point, and they've always been great.
Yeah.
What's one mistake that you've made either on a specific deal or just in business in general that, given a chance to do it again, you would take that opportunity?
A mistake that I made that I would not do again, or that I would say
that you would do differently. Again? That a mistake on a deal or just in business in general, that if you had a chance to do it over, you would take that opportunity to redo that decision.
Yeah, I have something. So it was probably 17 years ago, 2005. I had someone come to me and they were kind of a friend of a friend, and they had $100,000 to invest. So we decided to partner, and she put $100,000 into the business. And there's a concept that says when you don't have a lot of money, you figure out how to find things without spending a lot. If someone just gives you a bunch of money, you're going to figure out how to spend it and probably get the same results you could have gotten without all the money. Right. And so there were a lot of mistakes I made with that money. We spent money on a bunch of stuff that we shouldn't have. And long story short, we ended up splitting the partnership. And luckily it ended up good for me in the fact that I got all the properties, but then I had to pay the $100,000 back over time. So I'm like, man, I wish I would have used that $100,000 a little bit differently, because technically it kind of wasn't mine, but then at the end I ended up having to pay it back. So I guess the point to that would be is just be very smart with your money. Just because you have a bunch of it, don't just throw it out there thinking it's going to come back to you.
Love it. Love it. What is your best advice for someone looking to do their very first wholesale deal?
Do TV commercials, of course.
Boom. Love it. What would you say you guys' financial goal is for this calendar year? What have you goaled your team on? Hey, we want to do X this calendar year in your business.
Oh man, financial goals. Wow. Let's get into that.
Let on the real estate investing side, not necessarily the coaching and service business.
Yeah. So the thing about my flipping business, it's been something that started my career, but it's something that's kind of like I don't spend a lot of time and energy on, and I probably should. But right now we're keeping all the properties that we buy. So luckily, from that perspective, it's a little more forgiving because, I know those properties we're going to have 10, 15, 20 years down the road. We're going to pay them off. And there's a lot of tax advantages to it. So I'm probably not as...
Have you set like a goal on how many properties? That would be just fine here.
Yeah, so we're doing on just from Wichita, Kansas, we're doing anywhere from 3 to 5 deals a month, just in
Love it.
Wichita, Kansas. So those are all properties we buy, we fix up, and then we keep in our portfolio.
Love it. Cool. And you want to continue that for the rest of the year, 3 to 5 for per month.
Yeah, that's a good goal for us because we were doing 5 to 10 flips consistently about 3 or 4 years ago, and then the market just all those gurus started coming in and doing all those seminars and stuff, and so the competition just got flooded in our market. So I think 3 to 5 is actually still really good considering how competitive, because we're in a pretty small market, but it's very competitive. So I'm good with that number, and you do the math on it. We have 20 to 30,000 in equity in each of those properties, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's good to have a modest goal when you're making other things shake. So very cool, very cool. If you woke up tomorrow and you had $500 million deposited into your account overnight, what's the first thing you would go out and purchase with that newfound money?
Oh man, I would say probably just a legit house. Yeah, probably just my forever house. I would
There you
say.
go.
A lot of things I'd want to do, obviously, on the other side of that to help other people and whatnot. But if you're talking about just purchasing, oh,
Hmm.
actually, I take that back. I just bought an airplane, and so
Nice.
I've got a goal for some bigger, better airplanes. And I just started flying, and getting my pilot's license soon. So I would say if it's not a house, it would be a pretty legit airplane.
Very good. Love it. Love it. Love it. Last one for the person that's listening to this episode right now and maybe struggling, can't get it going. Maybe they've done a deal and they can't find the next one, or they just haven't gotten anything yet. What advice would you give to that person?
Oh, I love this question the most because I think this could be the most powerful out of anything here. And I guess there's two sides to it. One is think big and just believe it can happen. So even if you're like, it was just even 3 or 4 years ago, I kind of got myself into a weird position where, like I said, the competition got really heavy. We were overstaffed. There was a lot of things that we had to change in my business. And I just wondered if we were going to be in business anymore because things changed so rapidly. And so it kind of forced me to do other things and change my approach. And there was about a 6 to 12 month period where I was like, where am I going? And then all of a sudden, the TV thing fell in my lap where we're helping other real estate investors. Then we found a funding program where we started funding deals for other real estate investors. And then we started joining masterminds and started getting in front of higher level people that just amplified my thinking a hundredfold. And so what I'm getting to is if those are struggling right now, just realize that 6 months from now, 12 months now, a year from now, you're going to look back at your struggles and go, wow, I was really worrying about that little struggle
Hmm.
when now I have so many cool things going on. And all you really need to do is really just believe it's going to happen. In fact, just real quick on the Tony Robbins thing where I met my wife, I'd given up on women. And one of the exercises he did the day before was think about a limiting belief that's holding you back. And for me, it was all good women are taken. And he's like, think about what you want and be very vivid about it. And I'm like, okay, so I'll visualize a perfect woman, dark hair, tall, athletic, eats well, likes to travel. And the next day, out of the 10 or 12 things that I'd mentioned, she sits next to me the next day.
That is crazy.
Crazy, right?
I
And that's
love it.
happened with so many things in my life where when I put it on a dream board, I put it like wrote it down on paper, buying an airplane, right? That
Mhm.
just happened last month literally. Like you just got to believe. Even if things are tough, just believe it's going to happen.
Love it, man. Good stuff. Well, I appreciate you being here, Tony. This has been great, and I definitely want to invite anybody to learn more about the service and how they too can profit and do deals from this creative strategy of being on TV. I mean, it's not really creative because it's something that we all know about, but to think that you could be on TV for your real estate investing business is something that is definitely an option for you. And I want to invite people to go to www.com, I'm sorry, www.remtv.com/SMO for send more offers, of course. That's www.remtv.com/SMO REMTV.com/SMO. Tony, how can people reach out to you? Where do you want folks to go to learn more or follow you and see what you have going on?
Yeah, Instagram, TonyJavier.tv is my Instagram handle. And then, if you want to go to TonyJavier.com as well. And if you go to that link that Brandon had mentioned, we know that you guys came from this community. We take good care of our clients anyway, but we love to know where our clients come from. But appreciate you having me on, man. And this has been a lot of fun.
Yes, for sure, guys. And I always tell you to send more offers and do more deals. Definitely check in with us. We have a lot of great content coming your way.
That's all for this episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show with Brandon Barnes. But we know you're craving more knowledge to get yourself ready for that next deal. To schedule a call with Brandon to learn more about how to do deals consistently without seller appointments in a repeatable way, be sure to visit us at sendmoreoffers.com. And be sure to tune in for the next episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show.